We're back again for season 3 with John DiLeo and to talk about his book, Not Even Nominated. So, what have you been doing with all your free time between seasons?
I'm working on a new book. What do you think of that?
And what's that going to be called?
I'm not allowed to say yet.
Oh, I
All I
see.
can tell you is
Your lips are
it'll
sealed.
be out sometime in 2027. I can't even tell you which month yet.
So, who we got today?
Well, today we're going to look at, well, again, the book, the full title, Not Even Nominated, 40 Overlooked Co-Stars of Oscar-Winning Performances. So, as you may know, somebody in the movie won an Oscar for their performance, and somebody else in the movie was just as good, sometimes even better, and that person was overlooked.
Scandalous.
To some it was, yes. Well, today, first we're going to look at Humphrey Bogart in The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. The great Walter Huston won as Best Supporting Actor. The director, Walter's son, John, won as Best Director and for the screenplay. But Humphrey Bogart, the star of the movie, the big name, wasn't even nominated. Of course, the picture was up for Best Picture. It wasn't a particular box office sensation because it's a pretty dark, downbeat story for the golden age of Hollywood, but it's certainly one of Bogart's greatest performances, no doubt. 3 years later, 1951, The African Queen, Bogart would win the Oscar for Best Actor, and he's wonderful in that, so that all kind of worked out. And he'd been nominated earlier for, of course, Casablanca, 1943. And I'd say, I guess those are probably my 3 favorite Bogart performances, Casablanca, African Queen, and Sierra Madre. And this is particularly interesting because for a movie star as huge as Bogart was in 1948, to take on a real character part, it's not a movie star role, it's not heroic. He's kind of a loser. He is kind of a scary, scrounging fellow who goes down, I'd say, experiences a downward spiral mentally. And it takes him to some dark places, including violence and essentially breaking down before our eyes. And it all happens on this gold prospecting adventure with old experienced Walter Huston, who leads the mission, and a young man played by Tim Holt. So as things get to them, as the months drag on, Bogart's Fred C. Dobbs starts to crack. And he never does anything to make his fans like him or be reassured, don't worry, it's Humphrey Bogart. He'll turn good in the end. You understand what's going on with him. It's so much of it is that he's vulnerable and doesn't know how to handle his sort of mental fragility except by acting out and doing bad things. And so he's sort of the cause of his own undoing. And so because he's so good such a good actor at delineating the process of this man's as I said, deterioration, you're fascinated by it without really rooting for him because he's not a good guy. But it's a fascinating exploration, particularly for 1948. And as I said, the movie was very much acclaimed, but audiences didn't take to it. It was kind of ahead of its time in that regard.
Even that last scene with Houston jumping up and down saying,
Yeah, I mean, Huston is so great in this, and when he won the Oscar, he said something like, I was told my son, if you make it in the business, write a good part for your old man, and he did, and Huston died a few months after he won the Oscar,
wow.
So it sort of happened just in time, and it's probably his greatest screen performance, and he gave a number of them, like Dodsworth, and it wasn't his last film. He's in a great Western called The Furies, that was released after his death, opposite Barbara Stanwyck as his daughter. But, he also sang and danced in Yankee Doodle Dandy. So you have 2 great actors, a great writer-director, and a really challenging story. It could be any challenging situation. How do people deal with things as they worsen? And the Walter Huston character has done this many times. This is what he does. He understands what it's all about. And the young man is just kind of absorbing everything, but it's Bogart who immediately becomes greedy, which is sort of the undoing.
He's the most human of those 3
Well,
people.
he's the most flawed, certainly. I guess that's the same thing, but he's the most flawed, and we watch how he, instead of being part of a team, he isolates himself,
Right.
and it gets uglier and uglier.
So, Bogie, we know you got your share of acclaim, but this
Yes.
is something that you were overlooked for. So now, once again, John has set the record straight. Thanks very much, John.
Thanks, Nick.